Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's very special event, being presented by Chazaq, Sha'am, Young Israel of Queens Valley. I want to thank Meital from Sha'am for tremendous efforts on tonight's event. Let's give a round of applause. And what better way to prepare for the great Chag, the great holiday of Pesach, of Passover, than to hear the special cooking demonstration from and inspiration and special Q&A with the one and only Jamie Geller. Let's give a round of applause. Hashem. And before we call upon her, Baruch Hashem, Chazaq organizes different programs and events like tonight in different communities to give inspiration. Chazaq's main focus is to help thousands of public school students and through after-school programs, Sunday school programs, different communities. Of course, everyone knows the importance of giving a Jewish education to the future generations. That's what Chazaq is all about. That's what Eish is all about. And that's what Eish Ha'am is all about. You've seen, and that's what we're going to hear about. There's a special opportunity everyone's going to, that Jamie will speak about a little bit later on, that Chazaq is proud to be part of Eish Ha'am. And I think just one story before we, to introduce tonight's theme, I think is as follows. Rabbi Shlomo Farhi said that he was once at a wedding and he didn't know if the food was kosher or not. But so he saw there was a different rabbi and he was at the event and he goes over to the rabbi. He says, "Is the food kosher?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How do you know?" He said, "You're here, so it must be kosher." He's like, "But you're also here, and there's only one of us that has a plate, and it's you." So he said back to the rabbi, he said, "This reminds me of a story a few years ago when Rabbi Beryl Wine, he joined and he was one of the heads of the OU. Everyone knows the OU. It's a food event over here. Everyone knows the Orthodox Union is one of the biggest kashrus organizations. So what did he do when he became one of the heads of the OU? He went to a wedding. And he saw the mashgiach, the person who's supervising to make sure it's kosher. He saw him in the front eating food. So he goes over to him and he says, is the food kosher here? He said, "Yes, it's under the OU." He said, "Yeah, Chacham, Rabbi, it's under the OU because you are the OU. It's kosher not because you're eating the food, it's because you're supposed to be eating. You're supposed to be watching the food supposed to be watching the kashrus in the back." And not only is the person from the OU, but what his lesson is that each one of us in our lives, we have to say, "You are the OU. You're a leader." It doesn't matter whether you're a rabbi or a rebbitzin, whether you think you're religious or not religious, whatever it might be. In your life, you have to say, "You are the OU. You are a leader. You have to take responsibility for your family, for your community, for your lives." So that's I think that great introduction for Jamie Geller, who's somebody who's inspiring, impacting so many people through her books, through her blogs, through her amazing cookbooks and inspiration that she gives to thousands of people literally every single day. And of course, she's very involved. She's the chief marketing officer for Eish Torah. Let's give a loud round of applause to Jamie Geller.
Oh gosh, such a warm audience. First of all, because we're friends now, I'm just going to tell you that I was really sick 2 nights ago. I was stuck in LA and I didn't think I was going to make it here. And I took the last possible, I missed a few flights and I canceled a few flights. I took the last possible flight out now. I was like trying to recoup and get better. So I hope that I'll be able to bring the energy, but it means so much to me that you all came out here and they were saying to me, "Oh, you could cancel the event." I was like, "No, I'm going to make it. So I landed in JFK and I came right here and I'm so glad I didn't cancel this because there's so many warm, amazing faces. So thank you so much. I'm going to give you a little bit of like the run of events tonight so that we know what's going to happen because I like to know like what's going on, you know? So I'm going to tell you my story from HBO to the Holy Land, how I found my way home. I usually tell it in about 60 minutes. I'm going to do it in 15 minutes. Okay. Then we're going to do the reason we're here, and I'll explain a little bit more later, is because the World Zionist Congress is happening right now. Their elections are on the line. And we were asked, the reason this was a free event is because we wanted to bring you all here to help Chazaq and Aish, which are running on the Aish Ha'am slate for the World Zionist Congress. So we'll take like 5-10 minutes to vote, all of us, that we could do that here together. And then I'm going to make the best ever brisket recipe. Now, someone said to me, how do you know it's the best ever? And I said, because that's what I named it. So it's the best ever brisket recipe. I did make it on the Today Show. It is world famous, or at least nationally famous, from the Today Show. And I'm going to show you how to make it. And specifically, it's like about certain tips and tricks that you'll be able to translate to any of you. Have your own delicious, amazing recipe that you love the flavor profile. You can keep that, but I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks to make it even more melt in your mouth meat. Okay? So we're going to do that. And I think, did I miss anything? Oh, and then while I'm doing the cooking demo, we can do Q&A. Any questions you have? If I don't know the answer, I'll just say. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. There's not even water here. I'm so sorry. But yeah, we have a finished brisket. I mean, in theory, there's 10 slices. So if you wanted to like fight for it, you know. So, and I want to say thank you to Rabbi Robbie. Thank you to Chazaq for bringing me out. Thank you, Meital. Thank you, Yitzi Tabor, who is the best. He's a great local personal chef. If you need a personal chef, Yitzi has worked with me for many years in many of my food demos. He's a superstar. So yeah, Yitzi. Okay. So from HBO to the Holy Land, how I found my way home. 15-minute version. When I got married, I didn't know the difference between a spatula and a saucepan, and I didn't really care. And, I said to my husband, what do you like for dinner? Because I used my oven basically for storage in Manhattan. I used it for sweaters. I never turned the thing on. Okay. So I'm going to backtrack a little and tell you that I wrote a cookbook. The first one I wrote, I know someone said they brought their cookbook for me to sign, Quick and Kosher Recipes from the Bride Who Knew Nothing. So I just explained that, that was me. The first time I successfully made toast without setting off the smoke alarm, my father was like, oh, a real balabusta, with like a glimmer of pride in his eyes. So I write this book. I'll tell you how I get there in a second. And I want to go publish the book. So I go to a publisher, and he says to me, Jamie, do you know that, books don't sell themselves. You can't just put it on the shelf and this thing is not going to move. You're going to have to go do cooking demos and, speak all over the world in order to sell the book. You demonstrate the recipes from the book and then sell them after, and hopefully people buy them. So in the book, I wrote my life story about like how I became frum and what it was like to become a mother and what it was like to learn on the job, to, a great marriage and raise children and to cook. And so people actually invited me to tell my story. And so then I'm like shaking in my pants, right? Or my skirt, because I just learned how to cook yesterday, and now I'm gonna have to go everywhere and cook all over the world and tell my story. And I'm not a public speaker. So I turned to one of the rabbis who was Makari of me. Does anyone know here Rabbi Lawrence Hagioff? He's spoken for Chazaq many times. My mom and mother-in-law and my best friend are in the audience, and they raise their hand too. They know this life story. They keep coming back for more, so it must be good. So Rabbi Lawrence is an amazing, amazing speaker, and he always starts with a joke, and he always gets the audience going, and he's got a British accent, so basically he can get away with anything. And he says to me, darling, right, because in British accent you could say that, darling, you can do this. And I said, Rabbi, but I've never done this. I've never spoken about myself, on and on and on, blah, 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 for 15 minutes straight, totally and completely uninterrupted. I'm so nervous. And he says, of course you can do this. You're a woman. And I said, okay, I got this. Okay. So basically, my grandparents went fishing, probably themselves, for the carp or whatever fish it is you use to make homemade gefilte fish. On the cover of my first book, I put gefilte fish, and it's the frozen loaf, okay? So, but I always say in the old country, people were born intuitively knowing how to cook. And my parents came from Transylvania to Pennsylvania in 1964. I used to always say 63, and you corrected me, but you left in 63, right? And you got here in 64. Okay, that's my mama. Mommy, raise your hand. Okay. And that's my mother-in-law next to her. Grandma, raise your hand. And then Lauren and Shoshana, raise your hand too, because Lauren's my best friend and Shoshana's her best friend. Okay. So they get here in 1964, and my mother has the biggest dreams for her daughter. Again, she wants us to be, we could be doctors, we could be lawyers, we could be CEOs, we can accomplish anything we want in the great country of America, full of golden opportunity, anything and everything but being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, right? Being a balabusta was not her goal for me. So, She sent us to the best schools, college preparatory schools. I went to Salman Schechter and Akiba Hebrew Academy in Philadelphia. And then when I was falling asleep at night, my mother was the most amazing mother and was always home to be with us. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she put us to bed, and she would whisper the same thing every night, like at bedtime, as my eyes were closing, hoping that it would seep into my subconscious and become a reality. And she would say to me, Jamie, when you grow up, you will be the first woman Jewish president of the United States, okay? And then that was followed up by a family field trip to Harvard when I was 9, okay? So we're like walking through the leaves into like such a beautiful place, and it's like pressure, no pressure, pressure, you know? So then I graduate from high school and I go to NYU, and you guys are all like, what happened to Harvard, Jamie? So SAT scores aside, when I was 18 years old, I figured out the perfect recipe, pun intended, for a perfect life. And I thought it was to be rich and famous and thin. So my parents growing up were married. They were divorced. They married each other again. Now they're divorced again. We're actually, my sister and I, products of the second marriage of the same people to each other, okay? And I actually tried it a few years ago at the family Hanukkah party to like invite my parents and get them back together. It did not work so well. But now, thank God, they're happily married. And we have one special guest in the room, my stepfather, who's in the back. Jerry, you can raise your hand too. Happily married. Again, so everything, thank God, is good and great. And I go to NYU, and you're basically like, okay, so how do you go to NYU and couple that with your dream to become famous? I basically cannot sing. I can't carry a tune. The first time I actually sung in the car to my baby girl when she actually could talk, and she's like crying. She's like, no, mommy, stop, okay? So I can't sing. I can't act. Like, how am I going to become famous? So when I was growing up, I would come home every day from school. My mom would watch Oprah. You guys know Oprah, Barbara Walters, Diane Sawyer. I thought these people, they learned journalism. It's something you could learn, right? You don't have to be intuitively born with this like skill or this gift from God to be a great actress or singer. And I could learn journalism, and then I could interview famous people and become famous in my own right. So that was the plan. And I went to NYU not because it was the best journalism school in the world, but because New York City offers internships and job opportunities like no other place. So basically, I did what no one ever expects you to do when you get to New York, and I called the person who told me to look her up when I get to New York. So that call went a little something like this. The phone rings, and she answers, hello. And I was like, hi, Lori. And she says, hello. I was like, hi, it's Jamie. Silence. I go, remember me? Silence. I said, I met you outside the bathroom at Rosh Hashanah services 6 years ago. Well, I'm in New York and I want a job. And this is how I know Lori. My mother's best friend growing up, Betty's ex-boyfriend Sam, is on his second marriage to Bonnie, whose daughter from the first marriage is Lori, who I met outside the bathroom at Rosh Hashanah services 6 years ago, which basically makes us like twins separated at birth, you know? And I say to her, I'm in New York. She worked for CNN. She told me to look her up. I said, I'm in New York and I want a job. And Lori stayed true to her word, and she got me an internship at CNN. Yeah. So totally, yeah, we should invite Lori, you know? So basically, I'm thinking I'm going to CNN, I'm going to interview decision makers and world leaders and VIPs and like, you know, dignitaries. And instead, Lori works for a show called Showbiz Today, which is the live entertainment news show for CNN, both covering entertainment news domestically and internationally. So I went to the Oscars and the MTV Music Awards and the VH1 Fashion Awards. I interviewed every single celebrity known to man. I was on the red carpet, everything, backstage, behind the scenes, at every award show, TV show, movie set, everywhere and anywhere. And my life was perfect. And my mother was happy because I had this great career. But like most Jewish mothers, she couldn't stay content for too long. And chas v'shalom, right? We know the chas v'chalila, which is like, God forbid, 1,000,001 times. I should have this amazing career, but no Jewish hubby to show for it. So she made it her business to find out where every hot, young, eligible Manhattan Jewish bachelor was hanging out. It wasn't at the MTV Music Awards after party, by the way, spoiler alert, but it was at the weekly Young Professional Torah classes. So much like Chazaq reaches out to the community and does amazing, amazing work here. So Aish on the Upper West Side had a weekly Monday Parsha class taught by Steve Eisenberg. Anyone know Steve Eisenberg? He deserves it. The work he has done for the Jewish community, for myself and my life ever, you know, is unbelievable. But he taught a weekly Monday Parsha class. For the first time, even though I grew up going to like a Jewish day school, Judaism, I got this saying from Rebbetzin Hirschman from Aish. She's a Aish Rebbetzin. She said this, it resonated with me, so I'm going to use it. Judaism had punctuated my life until then. It's Hanukkah, we bring out the menorah, we light the candles, we eat latkes, sufganiyot, and then it goes away. It's Rosh Hashanah, apples, honey, we bring everyone together, we say Shana Tova Metuka, we give each other blessings, and then that goes away. It was something that punctuated my life. But for the first time, I saw Judaism, Yiddishkeit, as something that could permeate my life, which is exactly how we should be living. And the Parsha, the weekly Torah Parsha class, was presented to me in a way that was so relevant and meaningful to my everyday life and could help me be a better person in society, a better daughter, a better sister, God willing, one day a better wife and a better mother. And I felt like I love this and I want this life. So then I go to an Aish Shabbaton where they taught discovery. Did anyone ever go to a discovery experience? Right, life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And I said, this is it. I want to become Shomer Shabbos. But I decided to become Shomer Shabbos in December when Shabbos starts at 4, basically. And I work for this live show that's live every single day at 4:30. So I can't keep my job. So I go into my boss, Scott's office, and I tell him I'm quitting. And just so you know, Scott is a really nice Jewish guy who's on his second marriage to a Buddhist convert who, I don't know if it's like custom or the law, but Buddhists, I don't know if you know, they don't raise their voice when they get angry. They just ring a bell. Yeah, and I'm from Philly, so I would be like, I would need the Liberty Bell to get out my frustration. Like, what, you know? But Scott basically says to me, like, good luck, Jamie, ever finding a job in the TV industry with this new Shomer Sabbath thing of yours. Because, like, nobody can get into the industry. Nobody leaves it. And he's kind of like, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, this is crazy. I can't believe you're leaving. But again, at that point, I'm like 20 years old, and I totally know, what I want to do, and I know where I want to go. And I go, anyone guess after I quit my job where I'm going to go? Yeah, you guys are the best. You know it. You're smart. So I head over to Israel to go to seminary to basically learn what it means to be a balabusta, you know? So, but to live life as an Orthodox Jew. And I'm there and everything is amazing. And I'm totally like, you guys have met these Balei Tshuva later in life who just find God and want to tell the world about it. So like people are like, how are you? And I'm like, Baruch Hashem. And how's the weather? And I'm like, Baruch Hashem. And my mom's like, I love you, but I need to know, is it hot? Is it cold? I'm coming to visit you. What should I pack? I'm just like, Baruch Hashem, you know? And I'm like, Shabbos. I love Shabbos. I'm keeping it till Tuesday. And then I find out that you're basically not supposed to eat or drink till you hear Havdalah. So I'm like, fine, okay, Motzi Shabbos. And I throw out my pants, I burn my pants, I wear skirts, they're supposed to be below the knees, I wear mine to the floor. So what if I trip? It's what Hashem wants, you know? And anyway, I'm walking up the hill in Har Nof to the seminary. I remember exactly where I was. And I got a call from a producer at HBO. And she says to me, Jamie, hold on. Dramatic pause, 1 second. And I already said a bracha. Okay. So she says to me, Jamie, can you be on the set of Sopranos on Thursday? So I said to her, for sure I could be on the set of Sopranos on Thursday because I didn't want to leave my job. I just couldn't work for a live show that was live every single day at 4:00 when I wanted to be Shomer Shabbos. But I came into HBO as a frum, Torah observant, modest dressing, Jew, and they were willing and ready to accommodate every single thing I needed. So I worked on Sopranos, I worked on Sex and the City. I worked on Entourage. I worked on Janet Jackson, Madonna, Britney Spears concerts. I worked on boxing matches with, Floyd Mayweather. Anyone know who people might know now because he's like such a big friend of Israel. Unbelievable. Never would have guessed it at the time. So, and my life was unbelievable. But then I couldn't be content for too long because I needed to take my next step in my Jewish journey. So what was that? You guys are really good. You're going to come on the road with me. So basically, I need to find a hubby. It's like you want to live this amazing Jewish life and you want to have someone to live it with and share it with. So I literally went to every single shadchan from London to LA. I went on 50 dates, 51 date wonders, by the way. It was like a bad scene out of a bad movie. And I went one Shabbos to Rebbetzin Judy Young, Aleiha Shalom. Anyone know who she was? She was a massive, massive influence in my life and my journey and becoming from. And she was, if anyone knows her, she was a powerhouse of Torah and outreach, and she was less than 5 feet tall. And so, and by that time I used to wear 6-inch stiletto heels, okay? So I towered over her. And she says to me, Jamie, it's so nice that you come to my house regular. I used to like escape the city for Shabbos, and we love you, and my family loves you, but you're not going to find your husband here. You could stay here, but go out for lunch, go out for dinner, meet some other people, go to other shadchanim. And I said, Judy, I have met every shadchan from London to LA. I don't want to meet anyone else. There's no one out there in the world for me. I want to come to your house, eat your children, crawl up into a ball and cry because I'm never going to find my beshert, okay? So she pushes me out the door and she says, I stayed with her Friday night, but she says, Shabbos lunch, please go out. The next door neighbor is a shadchan and she's having over a friend who's a shadchan. So it's like a 2-for-1 special, okay? So I'm like, fine. So she pushes me out the door. I remember exactly where we are between the fish course, bringing the fish course, getting ready to bring out the chillin. And the shadchan says to me, so how old are you? So I tell her, where are you from? So I tell her, what do you do for a living? So I tell her I'm a TV producer. She's like, okay. She's like thinking, you want to marry someone who looks like a rabbi, who is a rabbi, like TV producer. She's probably waiting to hear a kindergarten, teacher, a speech therapist. And I'm thinking like, this lady ain't never going to set me up. And 2 weeks later, I'm engaged. And 2 months later, I'm married. And 5 years later, we have 5 children. And so Quick and Kosher is not just the name of my first book. It's a metaphor for my entire life, okay? And that's when I became the bride who knew nothing. So I'm going to set the scene for you. I'll tell you 1 or 2 more quick stories, and then we'll get into the voting and the cooking. But I'm going to set the scene for you, my first Shabbos. And I'm in my first Shabbos married, guys, okay? So remember I told you 6-inch stiletto heels, okay? Size 2 Sheva Bracha suit, which I've not given away to my younger, thinner sister. They're still in the back of my closet because I know one day I'm going to get back into them, right? And a sheitel that's so long, it's like weighing my head down, okay? Full face of makeup. And I'm in the kitchen. Oh, before I tell you what happened, I'll just set the scene for you now so you shouldn't feel bad. We just had not yet, Vav Nisan's coming up. Our 21st wedding anniversary will be. And thank you. I love you. The best husband ever in the entire world. Okay. You were recording that, right, Grandma? Oh, she hates when I call her Grandma. We went out shopping one time and I was like, Grandma, do you like this? And the woman's like, you're her grandma? She's like, don't ever do that to me again in public. She's the youngest, most gorgeous mother-in-law ever. Okay. So basically, so now I wear those like $5 Chinese slippers you get at the mall. The stilettos have been replaced. I wear an empire-waisted Shabbos robe. So first of all, because it always fits no matter what, And second of all, it's just so funny that like we basically wear a robe for Shabbos, and just because we put it in like crushed velvet or velour, suddenly it's like, okay, Shabbos clothes. And I wear a tichel, which I speak to all different kinds of audiences, and I kind of describe it like a sack meets a hat on your head. And, one day I have a sister who lives in Crown Heights, and this was before the days of Waze. I was driving back with my kids one day from her place, and I had the Garmin, which was like the GPS that used to attach to the car, and if you would go like under those overpasses, it kept losing track. I was like, going around in circles in the wrong bad part of Brooklyn, okay? And something's happening on the street corner. My daughter looks over and she goes, like, Ima, he's got the same tichel as you, So I got the tichel. So anyway, so right, that first soup. So I'm back in my heels. I'm back in the kitchen. I'm ready to ladle out the first soup to my husband. And I say to him, honey, what do you like in your soup? Because I don't know, I just met him yesterday, So he tells me he likes everything. So I really gave him everything. I gave him a whole onion, a carrot 4 inches sticking out of the soup the size of my forearm, and there was so much parsley you could hardly see the broth, because I remembered my grandparents putting all tons of vegetables in the soup, but I did that, but none of which I had cut. And I'm like teetering out, bringing my first soup to my new husband. So I really, really did learn how to cook on the job. And I always ask people, you'll tell me after your stories, because it makes me feel better. One woman after a show one time said to me that she was following the recipe and she put the chicken in the pan and said, put the chicken in the pan and leave room. So she left the room and called her mom. It's like, now what, And then another woman told me that the first time she made a chicken for her husband, she sent him to the emergency room. They thought he was having a heart attack because she didn't know the difference between chicken and turkey, and she basically roasted it for 6 hours. So please tell me your story so that I also feel better. We know that we're in good company. And I wrote a book, and then I wrote another book, and then at the end of the day, I had 8 books. I left the career of TV, and I started a kosher food and lifestyle business where I have 2 different social media handles, Jamie Geller and Julish, and we've got over 1 billion views on our recipe videos, because you could take the girl out of TV, but I guess you can't take the TV out of the girl. And back then, it was the beginning of, I made recipe videos like 15, 16 years ago is when I started. And in COVID, I have, which a lot of people, you guys call it COVID here, right? In Israel, we call it Corona, and every time I call it COVID, I was like, why are you calling it that? But yeah, so in COVID, I read an article that said women, more so than any other group, really reassessed their life and their life choices at that time. Now, I think it's because it's the first time we had a chance to breathe, and it's the first time I breathed, and I sat down and I said, I want to do something bigger and more important with my life. I want to do something that's bigger than me. And I had started my career in so many ways at Aish. My personal spiritual journey began at Aish on the Upper West Side. And then one day when I went to Israel 10 years prior, and the new Aish building had just opened, I was davening at the Western Wall, and I turned around and I saw the Aish building there. And I said, one day I want to move to Israel. And one day I want to work here. And then when I had my first cooking videos, when I was unknown, Aish was the first to publish them and to get my name and my brand out there. I said, I want to do something important and meaningful for the Jewish people. And so I joined Aish at the time as a chief media and marketing officer. It has been the greatest honor for me to work on behalf of the Jewish people, for the Jewish people, and help spread Torah in a way, the way that I said before, making it relevant, meaningful, and accessible to every single Jew. Jewish education is the most important thing. And by the way, I haven't stopped all the production, do tons of media stuff. I did an October 7th documentary. I don't know if anyone saw it last Tisha B'Av. And we featured, thank you for watching, stories of resilience. Resilience is all about the DNA of the Jew. I had seen my grandparents, all survivors of the Holocaust, not just survive, but thrive. And that's what we do as the Jewish people. And just now we finished the new documentary. It's out now. You can see it at frontlinewarriorsfilm.com. So that's frontlinewarriorsfilm.com. It's about anti-Semitism on college campus. But one of the greatest things that we say in that documentary is it's not about punishing the people who are drawing swastikas on the dorm rooms. It is about making sure that every Jew, now that they're being targeted and highlighted for being a Jew, even though they didn't live their lives like that, know what it is that they're fighting for, that we need to make them know and understand how to fight back and how to stand proud as tall, strong, educated, literate Jews. We all have a gift here, and Aish very much believes that we have a responsibility with that gift to make sure that we are spreading Jewish wisdom and Torah to the world. Okie dokie. So now we're gonna make some brisket, yeah? Who's ready for the best ever brisket? Okay, so first of all, guys, I always get a second cut brisket, either a whole brisket or a second cut brisket. The first cut is leaner, the second cut is more marbleized and has fat. I'm gonna teach you something very important right now. Fat equals flavor. Okay, guys? So really, when you hear about brisket being the most forgiving cut of meat and that you can't go wrong, that only happens when you're dealing with a second cut brisket, because that's the fat is really what keeps it soft and tender and melts in your mouth. And our goal is to make a brisket that you don't need no teeth to eat this beef. Okay, that's the goal. So I have amazing spice called a Hungarian rub, or I also have chraime, which some of you may have gotten. You can use that as your brisket spice. If you don't have that, and especially coming up toward Passover, where some of our, I think you guys have many more options than I do here, but where some of our spices and ingredients are limited, this is basically your basic Ashkenazi paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper, okay? Now we really, really want to liberally spice our brisket, so hang on. And we want to spice it on both sides, okay? Don't forget. Oh, this is nice. So here, we're going to spice it out. Somebody was asking me before, what is the best book of mine for someone who's just starting out, who doesn't know much? So my first one is really my first and still favorite, Quick and Kosher Recipes from the Bride Who Knew Nothing. That is really the one that I cook. Yeah, it's on Amazon. Thank you. You could vote. You could shop while you're here. We're all in one. Okay, salt. Yeah. Okay, and obviously you can do a little bit less or a little bit more, whatever you like. Some fresh cracked black pepper. And we're going to repeat that on the other side as well. Now I'm going to teach you something. If you can, okay, there are going to be some secrets here which are not musts, but would be great. If you can, put the spices on your brisket, rub-a-dub-dub them all around like 3 men in a tub, rub-a-dub-dub, but then leave it in your fridge with just a little bit of saran wrap lightly covering it for 24 to 48 hours. You talk about tenderizing your meat, nothing else there. Just let the spices in there do their work, loosely covered in the fridge. If you've got the time and you remember, do that, and you're gonna be like, oh, wow. And if you don't have the time, don't worry. It's okay. All the time I take shortcuts, but it really is a nice little extra tip if you want. So we're gonna rub this in. It's so hard, it's like a little bit in the way here. Okay, we're gonna rub this in on both sides. Okay, and like I said, sometimes I'm like really in a rush. Like right now, I'm here now. You know, I live in Israel, right? Did I tell you that part? That 12 years ago, when I went on my first date with hubby, and he said to me, well, let me get cooking. He says, I really wanna live in Israel. And I said, go find yourself another girl. Because, hold on 1 second here. Oh.
All the way down, all the way down.
I am all the way down.
Try it again.
And I did test it before. Let me try this one. That's so interesting. Try them, yeah. Okay, Yitzi Tabor if he figures it out. Whoa. Okay, Yitzi, round of applause. Great. Okay. So I said to him, go find yourself another girl because I love Israel. I'll support Israel. Maybe one day I'll have a second home in Israel. Doesn't that sound good? But I want to live in Israel, you know? And like water on a rock, he worked on me. And 8 years into our marriage, we moved. We had our 6th child in Israel, by the way. So thank God we have 3 boys, 3 girls, even teams. And when I was giving away like all the strollers and the cribs and everything, the kids were like, Ima, what are you doing? What if we have another kid? I was like, she's like, how do you know you can give it away? I'm like, don't worry, Ima knows, okay? So yeah, but Israel has been absolutely amazing. I made a documentary called Joy of Aliyah because I told you guys you can't take the girl out of TV. So you can check that out on YouTube and you can watch our 10-part Aliyah documentary series. So, okay, you saw I put olive oil. I love cooking with olive oil. You want to feel the heat about 5 inches off the pan. I'm going to put your brisket in. And you want to hear that sizzle, okay? Now, you want to let this sear. Again, this is one of those steps that we spoke about, the 24 to 48 hour rub and rest in the fridge. That's great. The searing is another amazing, amazing tip. If you are in a pinch and don't have time, you could skip the step and you could do everything like, you know, in the pan. But when we talk about what takes a brisket from good to great, there are these little types of things, like the 24-hour to 48 rest and rub, and then the sear. The sear creates this caramelization on the outside of the meat and just locks in the flavor and the juices, and it's like to die for. And if we want best ever brisket, right, then that's what we're gonna do, okay? So we're gonna let that go, and let's see. Actually, Yitzi, could we get the other one? Well, we'll see. Well, maybe we'll see. Does anyone have any questions yet while we're going and asking? Oh, this is a second cut brisket. Either get a whole brisket or a second cut. The first cut is a lot more lean. Okay, so it won't be as flavorful, it won't be as soft, and it won't be as forgiving. What did I do wrong? Okay, it's you're amazing. Okay, so hold on 1 second. We're gonna check. You're searing it for like 2 to 3 minutes per side, but this looks like it's going really well. One thing I wanna show you. You see how this is lifting really easily from the pan? If you try to lift it, I think I'm gonna do everything in this pan. I think we'll be fine. If you try to lift it and it's stuck, it's telling you, I'm not ready, let me be. Okay, don't fight with your brisket. Like you wanna be friends. You wanna send good vibes, so that's like good food. Okay, but if it lifts easily, it's ready to go. Oh, you see that beautiful color and caramelization? That's what we're going for. Okay, perfect. This happens to be a bit of a smaller brisket, and so it's going a little bit quicker, but that's exactly what you want, okay? So we want that on the second side. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, after we sear this second side to exactly the same doneness, we're going to go put in our vegetables, okay? This is celery, carrots, and onions. Famous in French, it's called mirepoix. Like mirror, mirror on the pois. You know, like mirror on the wall, who's got the best brisket of them all? Okay, so that's what we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna expedite a little bit. We're gonna move this back into our pan. We're gonna add a little bit more oil. Also, if the meat is larger and fattier, it often will kick off a lot more fat and oil. We're gonna go ahead and saute our veg. So these are sturdy. It's carrots, celery, and onions. Okay. And we are going to add garlic too, but we're going to do that for the last minute, guys. Because garlic, when it burns, it gets bitter, okay, and unpleasant. So it goes from amazing to bitter really fast. Does it have to be red onion? not at all. It's just like not at all, in fact. So whatever onion you have, your Spanish onion, and what is perfect. You see, we're just salt and pepper. Oh, another big tip. Salt and pepper as you go in layers. Even if you want to do it sparingly, it will be extremely flavorful if you salt along the way as opposed to just trying to adjust the seasoning at the end. The end is meant to just adjust the seasoning. It's not meant to, that's when you add your flavor. You build layers of flavor when you put the salt and pepper in like this now. So we're going to expedite a little faster, but this you want about 10 minutes until everything kind of softens. And also what we're doing is we're picking up like all the little brown bits that were left in the brisket at the bottom of the pan. We're picking that up and working that into, this is going to be the base of our sauce. Any other questions as we're going here? Okay. So now we have our minced garlic. And like we said, we want to put this in just in the last minute. It smells divine already. Oh, good. Oh, yay. Amazing. We put that in just till it's fragrant. Literally 1 minute. You smell, right away, the garlic comes. Tomato paste. Okay, guys? Any chef worth their weight in salt has a can or a tube of tomato paste in their pantry. This is like one of those secret ingredients. It's got a lot of umami. It brings the flavor to your dish. And it's like the base of so many stocks and stews and sauces. So that's tomato paste. And what we're doing right now is we're coating all the veg with the tomato paste, and we're searing the tomato paste. We want it to get dark brown, not black, but what this does is it brings out all the fabulous flavor. So once we've done that, any questions as we're going? How much tomato paste? Oh, everything is, this recipe, look up Jamie Geller, Best Ever Brisket. It's on h.com on the Jewish website, and you'll find it. I think it's 2 tablespoons. I'm going on memory, but I think it's 2 tablespoons. Oh, everything here. Hold on 1 second. Let me just do the next. I'll tell you 1 second. Okay. Red wine. Red wine. Okay. We're going to deglaze. No, that is the best question ever. Okay, hang on 1 second. She just asked, is this cooking wine or regular wine? I'm going for 2 cups of red wine. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to keep you in suspense. Hang on. 1 second. We're going to use a flat edge spoon. And what we want to do when we deglaze right now is we want to pick up and scrape up all those delicious caramelized brown bits at the bottom of the pan. Now, if you take away one tip from tonight, I'm answering you. Never, ever, ever use cooking wine. Use a wine that you would drink. Okay, cooking wine is filled with tons of salt and flavor and preservatives, and it's going to ruin the flavor of your dish. It need not be an expensive bottle, but something that you would drink, and even better, something that you might serve at the meal, because then it's like a really fabulous pairing. Okay, so we're using a dark red Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, yeah. For the garlic, I would say it's totally fine to just leave it out. I don't think that there's really anything that replaces it really well, and everything here has got a ton of flavor. We're talking vegetables and meat and the tomato paste and the wine, so you'll be totally fine. You could leave it out, and no, it will still be the best ever brisket, okay? Don't you worry. To this sauce, guys, you see guys now, what I'm doing is I'm just cooking the wine out a little bit, so like some of the alcohol is evaporating, so we're just condensing and getting that fantastic flavor, but this is the type of thing that you can drive after you eat it, okay? So you don't have to worry about that, okay? I saw another hand. Yeah. Yeah, so the wine, okay, first of all, you could do beer. Are you looking for a non-alcoholic replacement? I do have some really great brisket recipes. You want something a little acidic? I have a sweet one that calls for orange juice, actually, but then I would change up some of the things in here. But I have, if you look up, I have like a soy Ceylon brisket, which I do with soy sauce and Ceylon and some orange juice. So for this classic, this is like the classic, so wine is the base, but what you could do is just add a little more tomato paste and beef broth, and that could just do the trick and leave it out. Or if you want like a sweeter or different flavor profile, follow another recipe that will have more balanced ingredients. Before I take that question, I'm just gonna add the beef broth. Okay, and then go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. No water. I'm adding beef broth. No, for sure you could use a sweet wine. I don't think I happen to like better like a Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon, but you could use a semi-sweet. No, not Moscato. No, we want to stay red, and we could do semi-sweet, But once you start getting into a sweeter, little bit bubbly, I would, yeah, a dry or a semi, yeah. And I put in beef broth. You could also use chicken broth. I do like to match the broth with the flavor of the broth with the protein that I'm making, but that's not necessary. Yeah. Oh, here's the broth. I just buy it. You don't have to make it. Everything here you can buy. The tomato paste, I don't have a favorite brand. The broth you can buy. The wine, whatever you like to drink. So, no, we're talking about a red, dry, or semi-dry. Okay? Yeah. Any other questions?
Did you season the brisket first?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And then what I said is, not only did I season it liberally on both sides, but you rub it in. And if you can put it in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours. Yeah. Okay. So this is our sauce. Can you guys smell it already? Oh, yeah. It's like amazing. Like it smells like grandma's house, right? Like we're ready for Pesach. So, okay. I saw a few more hands before I move on to the next step. Yeah. The meat is here for 2 to 3 minutes per side. If you're on medium, medium high, it will go a little quicker. If you're on medium, it will go a little slower. Remember, we spoke about you want to just take a peek. It should look like this beautiful caramelization. And if it doesn't or it's sticking, just leave it down for another minute. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. So let me just move. Any other cooking questions about this right now? Oh, yeah? You could. It won't be as flavorful though. So would chicken broth work for you? Oh, yeah. So you could. I think the thing is to maybe pull back on salting the meat and the veg because I feel like it balances the gravy. I think you need something in there. Otherwise, the gravy will taste like wine, and you need something to counterbalance that. So I would stick with the broth and remove the salting from everywhere else if you can, or get a low sodium one maybe. Yeah, or like a vegetable low sodium that could also work. Okay, so this is doing exactly what we want when it comes to a boil. By the way, does anyone have a Dutch oven at home? Yeah. I love making this in the Dutch oven. You just make it and everything, you make it on the stovetop and you move it right in. So here it's a little bit more clunky, but we're going to transfer everything here. A Dutch oven is an oven that you can cook on the stovetop and then go straight. You can do all the searing that we just did on the stovetop and put it right into the oven. Yeah. Okay, guys, so we just put everything here on top. Oh, I forgot to add my bouquet garni. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. It makes me feel like a chef. Okay, we basically take some kitchen twine and we put parsley, thyme, rosemary, and a few bay leaves. I'm gonna add that in here. It's gonna give a beautiful, earthy flavor. Again, all these small little things make a big difference. We do a few of these small things and we add them up, and that's how you have the best ever brisket. So we put that in here. Then we cover it with tin foil, and it goes in the oven, low and slow. You could do it at 350 or 325. It's about 12 to 18 minutes per pound of brisket, okay?
How long you cooking?
12 to 18 minutes per pound, okay? If we want it low and slow, basically you can't overcook this. You want to cook, braise it. It's really slow braising in the oven until a fork inserted and comes out with no resistance, okay? So this is like a 2-pounder. So, this would be, I think, yeah. No, I would do this for at least an hour. Yeah, I wonder if it's not 2 pounds. This looks like maybe 3 or 4. I would book it, but at 300, I would do it at least an hour. Yeah. So. I never I braise. I usually make a ton of brisket at a time, and I braise my brisket for like 3+ hours in the oven. Okay, but I'm going to teach you another trick. Okay, so where's Yitzi? Oh yeah, we have the finished brisket, so come.
Want to use this big cutting board?
Yeah, I would love to use that.
Some of this.
Let's move this if we can. It's quite hard though. You could do do it thank you so much. You could do it in a slow cooker, but I want to tell you, here's how I like to do my brisket. So I make it like that. I braise it in the oven, low and slow, and then I put it in the fridge overnight because it's all about slicing the brisket and then letting it re-warm in its juices. That's one of my other tips. So it's not going to be the same when you eat it. Almost never, I don't think ever serve the brisket straight out of the oven because rewarming it is going to make it even softer and amazing. And slicing it is very hard to get nice slices. So you need to slice it when it's cold. So essentially this is what it looks like, okay, when it comes out of the fridge, okay? Any of the fat you can remove. Sometimes the fat will congeal. And if you guys notice, the grain is like this. You've heard things say slice across the grain or against the grain. If you slice it the wrong way, it will be tough and unpleasant and not delicious or look nice. So we want to slice across the grain. So, sorry, my gloves.
Tips and tricks on the
Recipe. Yes. Everything's on the recipe. Yes.
Can you cook it at a lower temperature for longer?
Sure. Sometimes I do it at 200 overnight. 200 overnight brisket is like delicious. So, yeah.
Sometimes I see a lot of people use parchment paper under the foil.
Yeah, that's some people think that the foil shouldn't leach into the food. So if you're more comfortable with that, you can for sure put a parchment paper under the foil. Whatever is, it won't affect the cooking and just whatever you feel comfortable with. Yeah.
So does this end up being like liquid? Like if you want to serve it today?
Yes, the sauce is going to be saucy. So I do it Friday night. Yeah, I serve it Friday night. Yeah, or on holiday, Yontif. Exactly. But yeah, this is totally a saucy dish. Exactly. Okay, so something I'm going to teach you here now with the slicing. Oh, so a few things. One is I go back and forth. I'm really, really torn. Originally, I wrote this recipe where you just drain. You're going to drain the sauce, and all of those vegetables I throw away. They are, in my opinion, dead and done. Like, put a fork in me. They have done all the work for you. They've put all their nutrients and all of their flavor into the sauce. And I find when they eat them, they're very like mushy and mealy, like they've lost their flavor. Now, hubby kind of likes it more rustic and old, and he can't watch me like throw it away. So sometimes I do serve it like that, but sometimes I really just drain it. They've done their job, and I'll show you how we plate the brisket. So, but first I want to show you how we slice it. Okay. Now, you definitely need a sharp knife, okay?
You warm it on the hot plate like it's good. It warms really nicely on the hot plate.
It is even better, okay? It's even better. You can warm it in a warming drawer. You can warm it in an oven on low. You can warm it on the hot plate. It is unbelievable.
But it's already sliced.
Yes. The slicing has to happen first. So that's what we're showing you here now. So hang on. I'm trying to just move things around a little bit. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes, you could see. Okay, so basically, we're going to slice this, okay, against the grain. I use my hands. Like some people like use a fork. I find my hand steadies it and holds it the best. And we're going against the grain. It is so easy to slice when it's cold. Can you hear me? It's so easy to slice when it's cold.
Can you show it halfway?
Sure, absolutely. You can do paper thin slices, you could do thicker slices. I'm using my second hand to steady it and hold it. So hang on one second, I'll show you.
Would it also work if you shredded it?
Absolutely. One is I think a little bit more elegant plating when you do slice. I think shredded is a little bit more, less elegant. How about that? But it's fun to do shredded over mashed potato or like shredded in a challah sandwich or something like that. But I feel like for the night or for a yontif or whatever, for Suda or for Seder, I would like it sliced, like a roast. Yeah? I saw some, yeah? Yeah, for health conscious, some people think that the foil will leach into your food. So they put like a parchment paper between the foil and the food. Yeah, because you need to cover. It needs to be covered. And the parchment won't give you a good seal. Yeah, under.
So it doesn't also stick to that. Oh, you can add foil.
You take
Yeah.
the pan, put a piece of paper down first, then you put the meat and the vegetables, and then the foil on top.
Here, guys, are the sliced. It's so hard to show, but hold on. And it is just so easy to slice like this. So then what you would do is you would take it all back into the pan, I like to place it down at an angle. Okay, and then pour the sauce back on top of it. Because what you do when you place it down, sorry, it's a little hard here without a sink, but when you place it down at an angle, and we spread it out, and then we're gonna put the sauce back on top, you can do a number of things at this point. You're gonna cover it back with your sauce, and you could do a number of things. You could put it in the fridge, and then you could put it right in the oven, rewarm it before serving. You could put it in the fridge overnight, or what I do is I make don't freak out because I work all hard, so when a lot, I'm not always available. So when I cook, I have a cooking day. I'll make 10 pounds like this, put the sauce back on, put it in the freezer, and then take it out and rewarm it and serve it. It rewarms unbelievably. You could do a taste test now versus overnight in the fridge and rewarming it versus from the freezer and rewarming it, and it just gets softer and more tender and more melt in your mouth. That's why it's so forgiving and so delicious and such a foolproof roast to make. And I do have in my first book a standing rib roast, which is supposed to be served medium. Serving things like steaks and roasts medium on Shabbos can get very, very complicated because it's very hard to hold that temperature on your hot plate. So I love these soft brisket roasts like this, which only do better over time with more warmth and more time. So that's why it will be forgiving, not just when you're braising it in the oven, but also on your hot plate, which is really, really important. Yeah.
When you freeze, you keep it with the foil or Ziploc bags?
Oh, I usually do it in the pan with the foil on top because then it's easy enough to just literally get it to room temperature and then rewarm it like that. And then I take it out and plate it really nicely. So you can see we have a beauty shot for the end, right? So come. Yeah, for sure.
So it's very impressive that you took something that you're saying really when you started cooking, you weren't that great. So what motivated you to start a cookbook, to get into cooking, and make it a full-time career?
So my husband said, "What's for dinner?" And I said, "I don't know, you tell me." Because I didn't like to cook and I had no interest. He actually loves the kitchen. And to this day, it's his happy place. So he taught me how to cook. We cook together a lot. Now I always say the student becomes the teacher. So now he's following my recipes and asking me, he's my sous chef and asking me how he wants things to be cut. But it really I just became out of necessity. And he was so impressed and surprised with my cooking skills because they were it was very surprising to everyone, including me, that I ended up knowing what I was doing in the kitchen. So he said to me I should write a cookbook because a lot of the recipes were a lot of his family recipes that had been recommended over time. And so I wrote this first book, and in the book I wrote not just my recipes but my story. And I think somehow that got caught on just as much as the food itself. The food was simple, quick, and easy. Everything I told you, this is anything that anyone could do. It's nothing that a beginner can't do here, And then the stories as well resonated, and just it's kind of one thing led to another. And that's why I woke up in COVID one day. I'm I don't even really like to cook. What am I still doing here? So that's why I figured out how do I do something else with the skills and experiences that I've had. So let me just show how to plate it and then we'll move on. Okay. So here you can see how it kind of looks after it's been rewarmed. Okay. And you see, I just feel the vegetables are a big mush. I don't really want to serve them like that. And again, they taste like mush. There's not much there. So we're going to plate this. Oh gosh, I need more table space. Yeah, maybe the burners, that will help. Or even this. No, I think this will be fine. Thank you so much. Okay. So what we did here, you really almost need a spatula. Let's see if I even have the right utensil here. Because it is so soft when we're plating it. Let's see if we can do it. I don't want to break the slices. Okay, it is tender and soft. Okay, great. So we have our beautiful warm brisket. And this was made yesterday, okay guys? But look how beautiful it looks. And again, I like to kind of angle them down a little bit. Great. Okay, and now I just roasted. I'm using the royal I. Yitzi, just roasted. I came from LA. Carrots and potatoes, okay? Any vegetables you like, just fresh roast. And by the way, this is your side, your main and your side. If you serve it with those other rustic vegetables, I feel like, oh, now I also need more side dishes. So here you just have the main and the sides. I'm putting the carrots. Oh, sorry. So just for nice plating, a nice color. I love, like, look at the difference of the vibrance of color between like these carrots and these carrots, you know? And you can use any spices you like, salt and pepper, or whatever you like for roasting. And I'll put some roasted potatoes on this side here. A second. You can cut some fresh parsley if you'd like and sprinkle that on top.
What's the best way to roast the vegetables, covered or uncovered?
Oh my gosh. It's not roasting if it's covered. Okay? Yes. Uncovered, very high. It's like 400, 425. You want it like high and fat. I mean, as fast as possible, meaning you want to keep an eye. You don't want them to burn, but you want them to develop a beautiful color.
Potatoes, I feel like they get like dark, but then the inside is not cooked.
So I like, well, how are you slicing them? Like, how are you roasting them? Like I like them a little smaller, like
quarters.
Yeah, so I'm saying if you make them smaller and you shake them like halfway through, or you toss them halfway through, they're going to continue to get their color. So if they're getting too dark on the outside and not cooked, you have two options. One is you can lower the heat, but I don't feel like you get that same caramelization. So what I would do is cut them even smaller and then give them like a shake or a rotation, or move them every once in a while. Okay? So yeah.
Is there a particular knife you recommend?
No, I love all. I'm not like a Cutco or a Wusthof or whatever. All the knives have been good. I can even give you a secret. I don't think not everyone wants their bread knife to be fleischig, but even a bread knife will do this when it's cold, nice and easy, and it won't shred it. So here is the beautiful finished brisket. We have our gravy on the side. So we're gonna just pour it right on, delicious, and then we'll serve extra in the gravy boat. And we just made that together now in 5 minutes. So when you go home, you could do the same thing. Obviously it takes a little bit longer, but you see it's very easy, very doable, very delicious, and like a little bit more elegant, let's say, than like shredding it. And it allows you to have that beautiful roast for the holiday or Shabbos, but like again, that's very forgiving on the black. I see tons of hands, yeah.
What did you roast the potatoes and the carrots? Did you use oil, or what did you put?
Always olive oil and at least salt and pepper. Then after that, it's up to you. I have a shakshuka spice. That's like our second best-selling spice. So I love roasting with that on the potatoes. You could do a za'atar. You could do garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. The same thing we just did on the brisket, but always olive oil, salt and pepper. And just as a quick tip, tomatoes and potatoes need salt. Those are the two things that if you undersalt them, they don't bring out their natural flavor. Yeah. The gravy was what we just made. Yeah, that's it. That's the beef broth. It's the tomato paste. It's the wine. That's our gravy. Yeah. Does he ever tour speak? He likes to be behind the camera. Yeah. And someone's home taking care of the kids. Yeah. So thank God. So this way he allows me to do what I do. But I'll tell him there was a request. Yes.
For recipes like this or in general, I know we talked about the slow cooker, but
Yeah.
how do you adapt either to a slow cooker, a big recipe for a slow cooker, or Instapot, or like change?
Yeah, so I mean, basically any great slow cooker or Instapot recipe cookbook will have in front like the adaption. So like if this is cooking for 375 at 3 hours, then it should be on the slow cooker on low for usually 7 or 8 hours. But I find generally that the slow cooker recipes are made all those for like 7 or 8 hours, not 24, right? So like it's a very specific recipe that you're going to make before Shabbos, and that's going to be good for Shabbos day. But for the same day, like doing in the morning, yeah. So then I would just follow. I'm not like saying an expert in with those particular pieces of equipment, but they usually do say it at the front of the book. Yeah.
The second cut brisket is what gives you the
Yeah.
fat. What would you use the first cut brisket for?
I don't really use it for anything unless I'm doing a whole brisket. Meaning that when you keep the whole brisket together, then some of those people that like the leaner, at least it cooked with it, and then you can get the leaner cut or this. But otherwise, it's like I have nothing. There's no use in my kitchen. Yeah. It's 7 or 8 hours. Overnight 200 is fine. You can't overcook it. What I'm saying to you is a minimum. And then the test is put a fork insert. When it comes out with no resistance, it's good. But by the way, also, if you intend to do like I told you, where you're going to put it in the fridge, you're going to slice it cold, and then you're going to rewarm it, it's also, you almost can't undercook it. If you do at least the basic, then you rewarm it, all the rest of the magic is going to happen. So that's what I'm saying. It's like beyond forgiving. Yes, sorry.
You were saying that sometimes you had like a big like cooking day. Did you do that and make like food for the week or food for the month? And like, do you have any videos or cookbooks on that?
Cooking in bulk, I feel like if I would ever do another cookbook again, and I've said I'm never ever going to do another cookbook again, which usually means that you'll probably do it, right? Because I never say never ever. So I have some videos. I usually make things that are really, really good for the freezer, and it's really generally Shabbos food. So this way, Shabbos is less overwhelming, and I can focus on the fresh salads and like the first course and the fresh fish. I love making a Moroccan fish. If any of you got the Chraime spice, look up best Moroccan fish. See, I have a theme with my recipes, and you could see how to make an amazing fish. So normally I'll cook soups, potato kugels, brisket, other mashed potatoes, things like that in bulk. And this way I like to go when I'm cooking for Shabbos, shopping in my freezer and pull a few things out. It just helps. Kugels, all kinds of kugels, all kinds of soups, and like also like tender meats like this.
Is the deep freezer best for that?
All freezers are fine. You just need to make sure that like it's at the right temperature. Like I'll put even a Ziploc bag on top. You don't want things to get freezer burn. So that's you make sure your freezer's at the right temperature. You make sure that you got a Ziploc bag on top of things as well. Even on top of the
Like you put your tinfoil in.
I'll put my tinfoil even in like a shopping bag and give it a tie like that, just so it has like a double protection. And then but if deep freezer or regular standing is no problem. Cookies, desserts, like tons of baking. Baking like cookies and cakes are excellent in the freezer. Yeah.
Which number meat would you use in Israel?
I don't use the numbered meats. I go to the butcher, Benny's, and I order a brisket. Because the numbered meats are like, they've been injected with water, they've been frozen already, they're not fresh. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying, no, where do you live? Where? Netanya. So Benny's doesn't deliver there? They deliver, they do far and wide, but... right. You'd have to order more and get it frozen. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah. This was another thing I was going to tell you. I don't like to freeze things for more than 3 months. After 3 months, I think it starts to get freezer burn and not great, but like for sure for 3 months is not a problem. Yeah.
I read online that I think you don't worry about your food tolerance. So I was wondering if you get your husband along with the kitchen, does he still make food or do you make?
He still makes the cholent. I've had one recipe published in the New York Times, and that was hubby's. And he likes to remember to tell me, he's had one recipe published in the New York Times, But so he still makes it, but in a pinch. I've made it, and my daughter has made it, and we've done a pretty okay job. But it's like his. Sometimes it's good. He's in a pinch, but otherwise he does like to make it, and we like when he makes it. Best ever cholent. It's called Family Heirloom Cholent because it's his father's recipe and then his recipe. Yeah, so please look up Jamie Geller Cholent. You'll find it, yeah. And there's a YouTube video with it. So a lot of people say they cook along with it. So, yeah. Yes, a brick roast, I think is good with this, a silver chip roast, anything that you would do low and slow. This is not for, whole technique that I just showed you with the searing and the slow braising and then the refrigerating or freezing and rewarming is only for roasts that you want to serve like this. Not I'm saying it's well done and soft and buttery. It's not for things like a London broil or a steak or a standing rib roast, which you want to serve medium. So if anything calls to be served medium, this is not the technique to be using. Yeah. Can you use a what? No, rib, no. That's, again, like more of a steak where that you want that to be medium in the center. You don't want to be serving that. Like, it's not going to get softer as the more that it cooks. So not a ribeye. Yeah. French roast, I think they call it. There's a lot of different names for that, like brick, silver tip, French, brisket. You could also do this with short ribs, like flanken, but then that's when you would serve that like shredded, and that's really yummy, like the shredded on top of a mashed potato. Okay, yeah?
Also a deco?
Yeah, fabulous, perfect, fabulous.
It's allowed to freeze fish.
What?
Fish. I can freeze it.
Yeah, for sure you can fry.
How many?
How to fry fish?
No, to
Freeze. Oh, I don't love freezing fish. Yeah, I'm so sorry, I misunderstood. I love things like I said, soups, stews, roasts, dessert, potato dishes, but not fish. I don't love. Yeah. Even my sister-in-law does it, but I don't like it. Yeah.
Are you able to explain the science behind potato kugel? Because I feel like every potato kugel comes with different no matter how you eat. It's like the most complicated thing to make.
It's so funny.
It is, but the most complicated, no?
It's funny. It's amazing. I can't say that I'm going to give you a great science explanation, but I do think that like cooking. I do think making it like in a glass. Yeah. She wanted to know the science behind potato kugel because everyone's comes out different. It's like so complicated to make and to get it right, and not too watery and not too I think I lost is the consistency too. What I started to do right now is there's the shredded and the mush. I did half and half. I find the half shred, half mush. I like that consistency. I also like a lot of oil. I just think it brings flavor. I do use olive oil, yeah. It depends if you're not comfortable, you can totally use canola, but I like it. Like I haven't found that to be the case. I use cola vita a lot. I don't find it has like a strong taste, but you can use canola for sure.
There's no like scientific behind like the egg versus
The ratios you're saying and
yeah.
nothing that I feel that confident sharing that's going to be like a foolproof. Like if you follow the certain recipe, like find a recipe you like. Like, did you follow my recipe?
It's the best.
And thank you. Did it come out okay or?
I don't know, every recipe I try is always like.
Right. No, I don't. Yeah. I can't say like this many potatoes to this many onions to this many eggs, this much oil. But mine does call for a lot of oil, which I do think gives it flavor. Okay, last question. Yeah. Yeah. I don't usually put brands unless it's so specific that it won't come out good unless you use that brand. But in this case, any tomato paste is fine. Any wine is fine. You'll be totally fine. Yeah.
But do you have like a list of like certain brands that are better than others?
Not specifically, because people are all in different places, and I don't want people to feel that they can't make it because they didn't get that particular brand. Yeah. Oh, my go-to shakshuka, shawarma, za'atar. Those are and paprika, and crab Hungarian. What? Oh, I use it on my chicken. I use it on potatoes. I use it like in salad dressing. Like I love it. Yeah, and the shawarma I use on vegetables. I use on chicken, and then here on the brisket I'll use either like the combination I showed you, which is the basic Ashkenazi, or my Hungarian rubber chraime. Okay, I'll answer other questions one-on-one after. Thank you so much, guys. Have a Chag Kasher v'sameach. Thank you.